Hi, and welcome to another edition of my question and answer session. I've got a few here today, and if there's anything that you want to ask me, then drop it in the comments below and I'll cover it off in the next one. Before I start, I just want to give a shout out to my newest member of my channel. So I now have a membership option. So I want to give a shout out to Dutch Planderlind, and I have to think about that before I say it because it's a play on the character Dutch Vanderlind from my favourite video game of all time, Red Dead Redemption 2. He's subscribed to my highest membership level, so he's got exclusive access to 9 videos that I've done on creating a great technique in this game. So thanks very much for joining, buddy. I really appreciate your support. So the first question that I've got is from Procrastinator, and he asks why the cue ball doesn't jump up on the break. Now, when you do see me break, I tend to do a cut break, which you hit with a lot less speed than a front ball break. So that's why my one doesn't break, but it doesn't jump up in the air. But even people who do front ball breaks, you don't see the cue ball jump up much on these types of tables. If I do the front ball break, which I never do anymore, but I used to do it a little bit, I would get a bit of a jump, and I would do it to try and stop the cue ball round about the middle of the table. But you can't get a lot of elevation on it, and I think the reason for this is that the cue ball is smaller and much lighter than the object balls. So it's a little ball that's going into a big pack of bigger balls. So I think that's why it doesn't jump up in there. Because obviously in the bigger tables you see it when guys are breaking on the telly, they go into it and the ball flies up in the air. So that's my scientific or unscientific reason why I think this might not jump, but happy for anyone to correct me on that because I don't know for certain. Alex Zelly asks, can I show where I'm hitting the cue ball for topspin shots, because she miscues sometimes when she does it. So I tend to hit about 3/4 of the way up the ball, and I'll put a graphic on screen just to show that. Just about 3/4 of the way up. I'll just play a little dummy shot here so you can see this. So not too high, so I'm probably about there. If I go higher, then you definitely have a chance of miscuing. If you go lower, then you're not going to get enough follow through. So it's almost about 3/4 of the way up the cue ball. But also what's really important is, if you look at the position of this just now, my cue is level with the table. I think that might be a cause of miscue. If you play through the ball like this and kind of go up in the air, you might like skate, I don't know if that's a Scottish word, skate over the top of the ball like that. So that could cause a miscue. So it's important to try and keep that cue level with the table, and that should hopefully stop you from miscuing. But let me know. Joe Gage asked, do I make money from the Amazon links that's in my video descriptions? And I've actually changed this recently. I used to put a number of links to things that I use within my filming, so the balls, the chalk, my table iron, got rests and cues and brushes and all manner of things. I would have a link for each of those things. I've now created a shop. I don't really know how I've done it, but there should be one link, and at the moment I think there's only 3 things on it. The answer is yes, I do make commission on any sales from it, and it doesn't add anything onto the price that you pay. But for all the time I've done this, I have sold 1 item, and have a guess at what it was. Do you think it's balls, chalk, or anything like that? No. Sold a lovely pair of brown chinos. And the way that works is somebody's obviously clicked on one of my links to like chalk or balls or something like that, and then gone, nah, I'm not going to buy that. I'm going to go surfing for some brown trousers. And that's what they did. And they paid £27 for this. I can't tell who it is, but they paid £27 for those trousers. And I made 27 pence off of that sale. So to whoever bought those brown trousers, you look fantastic, and a big thanks from me because I made 27 pence off of that. Chorler's asked an interesting question. He says, when I'm playing with side spin, do I move my cue, my hand, my bridge? I think basically what he's getting at is if I've got a shot like that and I want to play it with side spin, if I line up to play it without it, how do I impart the side spin? Is it, you know, what's the process for doing this? Is it, do I shift everything over like that, or do I just move the cue? And the answer is, you always want to keep this cue going through in a straight line. So you would move everything. You would move your cue over and you would move your bridge hand over, so that hopefully you can pick this up. My cue is still in a straight line on that shot line. So someone asked me before about backhand English, which I think is this. If you're lined up for the shot and I want to put spin on it, I use this backhand here to move out or in to apply spin to it. And if I do that, I'm going to exaggerate it, you can see that my cue is well offline. So I would never recommend that. So when you're playing with side spin, move everything. So if this is your shot line here, if you're playing it without side spin, then you almost move everything just, you know, a couple of millimeters, maybe about 5 mil, depending on how much side spin that you're putting on. You're maybe just shifting the tiniest amount so that your body, your cue, everything is just slightly past the original shot line. Tony Hannah asked for some help with rail shots. Do I hit the ball and the cushion at the same time? So if I've got something on the cushion, do I aim to hit that and the cushion at the same time? When I played snooker, that was absolutely what I did, and you were taught that if this ball is touching the cushion, that is what you should aim to do. And I played snooker for about 20 odd years before I picked up this game, and I would always do that. I don't tend to do it on this game, and the reason being is that I think in pool, cushion shots are a bit easier than they are in snooker. But also, and I don't know if this will make a difference, but in my mind it does, the cue ball, as I said earlier, is smaller, so you're kind of contacting them at slightly different points. What I would say with a cushion shot is if I can, I would always play it with side spin. Side spin definitely helps that shot. And what I'll do is, at the end of this video, I'll link to a specific video I've done on playing rail shots. There's 3 ways to kind of improve your chances of potting them, so I'll link to that at the end of this one. Johnny Dean asked, would I recommend tip size? So mine is tiny, it's 7.5 millimeters, and the reason for that is, again, this cue ball is small. It's 1 inch and 7/8 in diameter, so that's very small. I find if I play with a bigger tip, I struggle to get spin on the ball, so that's why I actually had this cue customized. I had it tapered down to that specific size, but that's just me. Tip size, I would say, is a personal preference. My snooker cue is over there, which I've not used for about 20 years, but obviously in snooker the balls are bigger, and my tip size on that is 10 millimeters, so it's huge compared to that. But I can't use my snooker cue on this table. I can't get the action on the ball that I want. So tip size, I would say, is a personal preference. If you're playing UK 8-ball pool, because of that small cue ball, I'd say you probably wouldn't want to go above 9 millimeters. Anything below that is fine, but obviously the lower you go, I can give this cue to a good player and they can try and play with it and miss really easy balls. Because it's so small, if you cue offline very slightly, you impart a lot of spin onto it. So it is a personal preference. I personally really like a thin cue. Matthew Willett asked me, do I have advice for someone who is right-handed but left eye dominant? And this relates to a video I did on finding your dominant eye and your vision center. So I am right-handed, I am right eye dominant, so if I go down to play that shot, I'm playing it right-handed, and the cue is actually more towards my right eye than it is towards my left. It's kind of somewhere between my nose and my right eye, because that's where my vision center is. If you're left eye dominant, then you have to move your head to a bit of you have to do something that's slightly unnatural. So what I would do is I'll refer you to 2 players, John Higgins and Gary Wilson, and they tackle this in a slightly different way. Both of them are right-handed, both of them are left eye dominant. what John Higgins does is he twists his head slightly. So if your head normally points at 12 o'clock, he's maybe about 1 o'clock. So this is what he does. So he kind of goes like that, and you can see that that has shifted things. It now looks like it's my left eye that's cueing that ball. So it's quite subtle, that. You don't spot it straight away on John Higgins, but that's absolutely what he does. Gary Wilson does something slightly different, and it does look odd. It looks odd, but also at the same time when I look at him, he looks like he's got a great cue action. He moves his whole cue closer to his body. So if I play like this, and it's under my right eye, he kind of plays, it's almost like that. You know, he keeps his head in the same position, but he's got that cue so tight into his chest that it moves under his left eye. Now, have a look at both of them, pick what you want to do. Both of them are great players, so they've both proved that it can work either way. Dean McKenna asks me for advice on the cut break, as when he hits it, the cue ball keeps jumping off the table, and it's a risk with the cut break, unfortunately, because you're going into them from the side. You know, you tend to be cueing over the pocket or the cushion, so you're kind of digging down on the cue ball a lot. And remember, they're tightly packed, and they're bigger balls than the cue balls, so it can jump off. I mean, the obvious way to fix it is to take a bit less pace off the cue ball. You know, you don't want to hit it too hard at all, and you shouldn't need to on the cut break. But also the way that I play it, I had it slightly below centre ball. When you, in UK pool, if you put topspin, because it's a smaller cue ball, if you put topspin on the ball, it tends to jump slightly, but if you put backspin on it, it never will. And the other reason for doing it is, if you put a little bit of backspin on it, you're hitting the second ball down, which is about there. If you're putting backspin on it, you can move that cue ball to about the centre of the cushion. Now if I do that, it's going across this line, it's staying away from all 4 of these pockets. If you pot the cue ball on a cut break, it tends to be when you're really unfortunate and it kisses another ball and knocks it in. It doesn't actually happen a lot. But also, if you can get it right to the middle of that cushion and back across, remember the cluster of balls is here, so you're going into them for a second time. So that's why I play it that way. Stops me fouling, it stops the cue ball jumping off the table, stops the cue ball going into the pockets, and it goes into the pack for a second time. And the last question is, Middle Age Fred says, do I know what cloth is on my table? And I do. It is a Hainsworth match cloth. I think it's called powder blue. But it's a little bit worn out. I've never actually replaced it. I've had the table probably about 4 years now. I've got a bit of a scuff mark up there where I consistently break from, and you can see small little indents round about where I rack the balls up, so I do need a new cloth. I don't know what to get yet, so open to any suggestions. And just to finish up, I will link that video that I spoke about earlier. Thanks for watching.